It's Monday night， 星期一晚大家好。I finished my Spanish class and then I had online meeting. Oh no, I started with teaching an online class and then I have my Spanish class and then I had an online meeting and then I had dinner with a friend that I got close with in my Spanish class last 2 weeks. And so I came home and then I rested a little bit and now I'm doing the reading. 咁我今日一朝早起身就上網教班啦，跟住就自己去上西班牙文班啦，然後就再開咗個 online meeting 啦，跟住頭先就同我上2個禮拜嘅西班牙文同學就去食咗晚飯啦，佢聽日就離開呢度啦，咁樣咁就食餞行飯咁。So my friend from the Spanish class for the previous 2 weeks, she's leaving tomorrow back home. So we sort of have like a farewell dinner tonight. 咁係啦，咁呢個朋友就係住喺芝加哥嘅美國嘅朋友啦。咁跟住我哋上2個禮拜同一班西班牙文班嘅咁我哋就係啦。咁佢聽日飛翻屋企，咁所以我今晚就同佢餞行啦咁。So let's do the reading. 咁我哋就正式開始讀書啦。Read to Resist, Day 213. 當閱讀也是抗爭，第213日。A Concise History of Hong Kong by John Mark Carroll. 香港簡史從殖民地到特別行政區，著者高馬可，譯者林立偉。Indians. Hong Kong's non-Chinese population also included many Indians. Among them were Parsi traders, who were some of the first landowners in colonial Hong Kong. As in Bombay, the Parsis became known in Hong Kong for their business acumen, honesty, and philanthropy. Although the Parsi community was small, some members became very prosperous through the opium trade. Despite their wealth, loyalty to the British Crown, and the generosity, the Parsis were excluded from the European social world. For the most part, they formed their own community and were granted their own cemetery in 1854. The majority of Hong Kong's Indians, however, were Muslims and Sikhs who came to Hong Kong as traders, soldiers, and policemen. Indians were often employed as police and prison warders since they would be less likely to help the Chinese prisoners escape. From the beginning, the Indian population was overwhelmingly male. In 1845, for example, 346 of the 362 Indians, excluding the Indian troops in the garrison, were adult males. The rest being women and children. Excluded by both Europeans and Chinese, these Indians remained their own community. 印度人，香港的非華裔人口也包括許多印度人，當中有柏西人貿易商，他們有些是殖民時代香港最早的地主。香港的柏西人和他們在孟買的同胞一樣，以多才善價、忠厚老實和樂善好施聞名。柏西人的社群很少，但有些成員卻通過鴉片貿易而發跡致富。儘管柏西人富裕，終於英國又慷慨捐書，但卻摒諸歐籍人社交圈子之外。他們大多數自成一群。1854年更辟設專供柏西人下葬的墳場。在港印度人中，以回教徒和錫克教徒佔大多數。他們在香港從商、從軍和當警察。英國人常僱用印度人為警察和獄卒，因為他們不大可能協助華人囚犯逃走。在港印度人從一開始就以男性佔絕大多數。例如在1845年，362名印度人，不包括衛戍部隊中的印兵，中有346名是成年男性，其餘是婦孺。這些印度人受歐人和華人排斥，因而自成一族群。So this is the reading of today. 咁我哋今日就讀呢度啦。So we talk about a little bit about the Indians in Hong Kong. 咁我哋開始講到香港嘅印度人啦 ，which is actually quite a large community still now in Hong Kong. 咁其實就算而家都好，即係南亞裔喺香港都係一個幾大嘅族群嚟嘅咁樣樣。And I remember like when I was a kid， 我記得我細個嘅時候咧 ，my grandmother would tell me， 咁我阿嫲成日都會同我講 ，the Indians are very smart people。佢印度人好聰明㗎 ，they can all speak very loud like in different languages。佢哋咧即係學語言好勁 名啦咁。And if you speak to one on the telephone， 如果你同其中一個講即係電話嘅話咧 ，you wouldn't tell like from their Cantonese that they are not local Chinese or Hong Kongers。你係聽唔出佢其實唔係本地即係香港人或者華人咁樣樣咯。So which is true， 咁其實都係真嘅咁。And a lot of Indians that came to Hong Kong is because of the colonization, right？ 咁其實好多時即係印度人嚟香港係因為殖民地嘅原因啦，就 because they were also a colony of the Brits， 咁因為佢哋都係英國當時嘅殖民地啦咁樣樣。And then they hire a lot of them to come to Hong Kong to be policemen， 咁佢哋亦都係即係請咗好多印度人翻嚟，就係喺香港就係當差啦，做警察啦咁樣樣。So it sort of like create this sort of like prejudice against this community as well because of that too。咁亦都係因為佢哋係當差，咁所以其實即係香港人對印度人嘅印象都係差咧，其實都有啲原因嘅。It all comes back to the police 其實都要翻去一路都係講即係就好仔唔當差啊嘛咁樣樣。And like when we were kids, like there was this saying which is rather like racist。咁當然即係細個我哋成日聽啲老人家會講，即係其實係超級種族歧視嘅説法啦，就係They describe the police as having a big head because of their turban, because a lot of them were Sikhs, and then because their uniforms were green， 咁就係大頭綠衣啦。So they call them like the big-headed green uniforms, and then the mocking was like the saying is actually a mocking of the police and saying that those big-headed green uniforms would only blow their whistles when they cannot catch any thieves， 咁係啦，即係細個成日聽我阿嫲講就係大頭綠衣拉人唔到吹 BB 咁啦，咁其實都係即係串啲差佬冇用啊，即係廢柴啊咁樣樣。So it's kind of like mocking them being quite rather useless in actually helping with order and like security, but rather just being running around doing nothing。咁其實即係主要都係串佢哋，即係就係廢啦，即係咁樣樣。咁so there's like racism involved in it, and also there is this kind of like general dissatisfaction or dislike about the police。咁亦都係即係其中一種即係除咗種族歧視之外，即係亦都係包括就係唔中意差佬呢樣嘢啦，即係啦，覺得即係警察呢件事本身即係其實喺香港人嗰個印象都係差嘅咁。But it's also because of like colonial rule, then it's like police sort of like equal to this like the most direct kind of like oppressive force, right? So it's sort of like understandable, but then it also creates this sort of like prejudice against this certain community as well. 咁於是乎即係其實都係睇翻個歷史嗰個即係個背景就係咁樣樣，就係因為殖民地政府咁。如果你講大家就係佢最直接代表殖民地政府壓迫人民嘅權力就係即係警察啦咁，而且佢亦都係揾一啲唔係你本地嘅人嚟到去所謂管理嘅時候，咁就即係更加容易就係因着咁樣就會係對印度人產生呢一種咁樣嘅種族歧視啊，或者係仇恨啊，或者係唔中意啊咁樣樣咯。So it's kind of like this sort of I think it's sort of like begin the root of sort of this strange and awkward relationship between like the Southeast Asian communities, the ethnic minorities in Hong Kong right now, and the Hong Kong local Hong Kongers。咁所以其實即係一直以嚟都有一種咁樣嘅張力同埋即係你見到南亞裔喺香港即係同香港人本土之間嗰種嘅關係 ，they always rather quite like separated from like a mainstream kind of society， 因為佢哋同嗰個主流社會即係其實中間嘅距離都好遠啦咁。There were a couple of documentaries talking about like how most of the 3D jobs, like the dirty jobs, the dangerous job, like kind of like the low working class jobs were all being done or almost all being done by the ethnic minorities in Hong Kong right now, which are mainly like Southeast Asians。咁即係成日都會提到即係嗰個3D 嘅嗰啲即係危險啊，即係收入又低啊，又或者即係嗰個尊重對佢哋尊重好少嘅工作嗰啲嘢，全部都係去晒啲南亞裔嘅身上啊咁樣樣。And 即係 And so it's just kind of this sort of the change in like the social status and also the development of it and the relationship between like these communities, between the locals and the Indian or Southeast Asian community right now is like kind of like putting a historical context into it。咁所以其實即係可能係讀到呢一段歷史嘅時候，即係可能都可以諗翻，原來其實即係嗰個源遠流長或者即係嗰樣嘢係咁樣走出嚟啦咁樣樣。But then of course there are some very wealthy Indians as well in Hong Kong。咁當然都有一啲好有錢嘅印度人啦，即係做生意啊，佢哋都係真係好叻好勁嘅咁樣樣。So like within the Southeast Asian community, then there's also like the differences with the class as well。咁即係所以其實係即係本身南亞裔裏面又會再分有唔同一啲嘅社會嘅階層啊，即係喺個階級上面有一啲唔同啦咁樣樣。But during the 2019 protest， 但係喺2019年嘅時候咧，like many Southeast Asians came out as well to support the movement and be part of the protesting team。咁但係即係其實大家都有南亞手足啦，我哋喺即係2019年嘅時候，大家即係其實一齊行出嚟，就係我哋都係香港人，我哋都一齊為咗香港去即係而戰啦，而抗爭啦咁樣樣。And this is kind of like in my life, at least, in my lifetime, like this is the first time I've seen like publicly that people come together in solidarity with ethnic minorities group in Hong Kong and calling them Hong Kongers, and like the solidarity is kind of like beautiful as well. I mean, does it change the discrimination? No, it doesn't actually, but then there's a more awareness of like when we talk about Hong Kongers, it is really not just like the Han people, but like there is a diversity in the composition of the Hong Kong population and people who are proud to be Hong Kongers。咁我估即係其實，但係呢度即係當然都冇即係完全改善到喺香港嗰個種族歧視嘅問題嘅，即係嗰啲由黑面仲不停喺度做啦，係咪？即係嗰啲咪戇嘟的電視劇咁樣，即係但係即係2019年係即係起碼係我自己印象中我嘅有生之年係第一次好公開喺即係一個即大型嘅香港嘅整體嘅社會裏面有一種嘅即係確認，就係我哋香港人呢個身份唔係淨係漢人，即係其實係我哋裡面都有多元嘅種族，而即係其實係呢一班朋友即係佢哋都係我哋即係香港人都係我哋手足嘅一部分。咁我覺得呢樣嘢都係好重要嘅啫。I think it's kind of like really important development in this sort of like identity search of the entire Hong Kong and all of the people that who are now living in Hong Kong or who identify themselves as Hong Kongers. And I was talking with Ukrainian friends, and something came up about like before the invasion, they have never felt so strong about their Ukrainian identity. Like one of them told me about this. And I think like it's probably sort of similar for Hong Kongers as well。咁我今日同即係烏克蘭朋友傾偈，咁佢就講到佢話其實咧喺俄佬侵略佢哋之前咧，其實佢冇咁強烈感受到佢作為一個烏克蘭人嘅呢個身份係有幾咁重要嘅對佢。咁而家當然就好唔同啦咁。咁我就覺得我哋香港人都好似有同樣嘅嘢。Like for example, for me, like before the umbrella movement in 2014， 譬如我自己，我喺雨傘運動之前，2014年之前 ，no matter how hard I've been working in community, fighting for different kind of human rights, for me I always see myself as a global citizen rather than just like a Hong Kong。我自己以前會成日覺得我係地球村嘅村民咯，即係我唔會特別覺得我係香港人。And I always have this kind of like feeling like, oh, one day I would like to live somewhere else and like be out of the city, and find my real home。咁我以前成日都會覺得我總有一日嘅時候，我唔會住喺香港，唔會長住喺香港。我覺得香港即係 又大壓力啊！啲人做嘢又即係又好辛苦，做咩要咁樣做嘢？唔中意嗰啲文化，即係好中意翻工嗰啲嘢，或者即係好多嘢，咁成日都會覺得啊好嚮往，想要即係可能去歐洲會覺得自由啲啊，會覺得自己啱啲啊，藝術啊文化之類啊咁樣。And then 2014 the umbrella movement happened, the occupation happened。咁然後雨傘運動我哋佔領咗即係金鐘咁樣，我成為咗夏慤村嘅村民。And then all of a sudden I felt that like this is my home。然後突然之間就覺得哇呢個係我屋企 ，I am a Hong Konger， 我係一個香港人 ，and I've always been at home like for so long already my entire life this is my place。咁然後我就覺得喂呢個咪就係我屋企咯，即係我仲使周圍走咧，即係呢度就係咁，我就要喺度捍衛我嘅屋企。And so like that was a moment for me like it's just kind of like really very strongly feel that like there is an identity that is called Hong Konger, and I am a Hong Konger, and it's a thing, and it's something that is very important to me。咁就係嗰一刻開始，我就係喺海富橋上面，就係發現咗，即係我係一個香港人，香港人係一個好重要嘅身份，係佢一個國籍，佢就係我啦咁樣樣，即係and yeah, it's just kind of happened like that. I guess it's just like, unfortunately, like we always have to have something, almost always have to have something negative to get into this sort of realization or awareness. 咁但係真係好不幸，好多時候可能都係即係喺啲不幸嘅嘢或者負面嘢發生，我哋先會發現呢啲事情啦咁樣。So anyway, this is it for today。咁今日就係嚟到呢度啦，and I'll see you again tomorrow。聽日再見，拜拜。